two other individuals actually come to the office, and they do cold calls, they do some legwork for me and different things like that, which really helps generate, because I have a high level of volume. As you can imagine, so far I've probably done 190 workshops in the city of Newark. And from that I have tons of people to get back to, buyer leads. I mean, one seller turned in, I just got a list of 750 properties from one seller yesterday. 750 auction properties, right? So you never know the relationships. We were just having this conversation yesterday with the team. A buyer, never underestimate the power of a buyer, right? Because they might lead you to 20, 30 sellers. So I say that to say, as you are all starting out here as investors, there's a code of ethics. There's an unspoken code amongst investors, amongst people in this industry. We don't badmouth each other. We don't talk bad about each other, because you never know. Like the mayor just said, the same person that you might not have gotten satisfied on one deal, but then you show out and get all emotional. Guess what? Next time the tables are turning, they're calling you for something, that you can do. You know what I mean? So the point of the matter is, as investors in any market, we have to have a certain level of decorum, right? So what I want to know is who's who and what are you all here for? So I can make sure that I address, because I really do all this off the top of my head. And with 20 years of experience, I can answer pretty much any question, or if not, I'll consult my attorney, who's also in the room, so I'm always protected. But anyways, let's start with you.
I'm Jen Narciso. My husband and I just bought our second investment property in Montclair.
Okay.
And Newark is really hot right now. I don't know the area too well, but we are looking to maybe get a third, like an actual investment property. And,
income producing.
Yeah. And actually, I'd like to buy something bigger eventually. My big dream is to own something on the skyline, either in Newark or in the city.
Okay.
So to build up eventually.
And what is one question you want to get answered today?
I have a couple, if that's okay.
Just one top, because I want to make sure I get to everybody. So your top one.
Like where in Newark is good to actually invest?
That's an awesome question. Okay, I got you on that. Welcome and thank you. Next.
My name is Carolyn Harmon. I am an investor. I have income properties outside of New Jersey, not so much in New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm looking more to get into commercial properties, and I want to start with Newark. So where in Newark would you look for good commercial properties as a newbie investor in that field? Also, I do private money broker for people who do fix and flips and buy homes.
Okay, awesome. So you have a card?
I have a card.
All right, well, you can pass that around. We'll all network at the end.
Right.
How you doing? My name is Carl Blaze. I'm here to get more information and knowledge and network for people, and I also would like to know when and if can I get my first property here in Newark, because I've been looking for 9 months, and like she said, it's a hot market, so people have just been overbuying. And my problem is now that I've been able to analyze properties, I haven't got anything because I'm not overpaying for the property.
So your top question?
Is how can I get a property?
How to close.
How to
How to
close.
How to close.
Yeah.
Next.
Rayvon Mercado. I'm an electrical contractor. I'm looking to get into, the goal is to buy about 10 rental properties. My main question right now, just off the top, is I come across a lot of vacant properties, and just finding like the owners, or finding like if the owner passed away, like what would be the next move to make on a property like that?
All right, these are really, really great questions. Next, let me hold it for you, Sharon. Hold on. You don't want to get on? Okay. All right, we'll skip Sharon. Okay, next, please.
Okay, my name is Katrina, and I'm no beginning in trying to get my license because I would like to get involved in this.
Okay, that's awesome.
And I just want to learn as much as I can, being that I'm going to be in this field. And she says she does fix and flips, so I would like to know more about that.
Okay, so you want to know about fix and flips. Okay.
My name is Jeffrey Cohn. I work with Rose. I'm an attorney. I'm a real estate developer. I've been involved in this business for a little bit of time, since the last century, I can say that. I'm in Newark since 2002. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
How do you select tenants? Like, what's your tenant selection process to make sure that you keep getting rents every month?
Guys, that's an awesome question, guys. These are just, okay, thank you, welcome everybody. So, these are pretty awesome questions, right? And our goal today is when you leave, you're gonna be more enriched with the answers, all right? So let's take it from the top. So I'm gonna clear this section here. I do write notes, so, I always encourage everybody to bring notebook or.
The teachers help it on,
Okay.
but I'll write it for you. Don't worry. You can
Well, I have to write it because I write it as I
Oh,
think
okay.
it.
All right.
I'm going off the grid. Mind you, all of this is off the top of my head, so this is just my experience. So, for starters, where to invest, right? So, for anybody that doesn't know, Newark, we're gonna keep this Newark centric today. All right? Because normally I talk Newark, but then I talk Irvington, I say Essex, I go Hudson, because I really give the tools that could provide data and winning in any market, right? But what we're gonna do, we're gonna stay Newark centric today, all right? So, Newark is comprised of 5 wards, right? I think everyone knows about the Central Ward. We are currently in the Central Ward right now, if you don't know. And this is considered downtown proper. There's downtown proper, then there's downtown, right? So, Central Ward is one of the largest wards, if not the largest ward in Newark. However, Central Ward is very unique because it's the home of a lot of commercial and a lot of large corporations reside in the Central Ward. The footprint of Central Ward are a lot of huge buildings that take up space that provide services to the community and or businesses. This is the heart of, a lot of the commercialized businesses, Audible, you have Prudential, like former Mayor Sharp James mentioned. You have tons, City Hall, Federal Building, Board of Education, you name it. It's a lot of commercialized entities that consist of the Central Ward. As a result, there are not a lot of opportunities to own in the Central Ward. Especially, there's buildings that were built, there are some condo buildings from the Central Ward. Mayor Sharp James mentioned Society Hill, which is 3 phases of townhouses that's privately owned, and that's 803 units right there. In addition to that, there's a lot of rental opportunities in the Central Ward. So for example, there's a building, if you go outside of my office, they built a new construction over there, 3 family, $525 was the closing price, $525,000. Around the corner on Crawford Street, they have 2 families for sale right now, $475,000. Because this is downtown proper, you can essentially walk to Newark Penn Station from here. And then your whole commute from being where we are right now, with a new construction home, you're in New York City, 30 minutes, including the walk, okay? So that's why the prices have gone up in this particular area, right? So Central Ward, you have East Ward. East Ward is on the other side of Penn Station. That's the place between Penn Station and, let's say, Kearny or Harrison, in that little vicinity. That's the East Ward. That area is super booming. It has always been a super, super tight community. You can actually go up and down the East Ward to the commercial. This is how you know an area is really booming. They have no empty commercial spaces. You want to know how well an area is doing? You see no vacancies on any storefronts. Every storefront has an operating business. How well they're doing doesn't matter. They're there and they're filled, right? So that's how you can actually determine what areas are really top areas. Same thing in Montclair. You're from out of Montclair. So if you go up and down Bloomfield Avenue, there's no vacancies. And if there is for a 30-day period, it's flipping right over and a new business is coming right there. That's how you know that area is stabilized. So East Ward is super stabilized. It's a strong ward that consists of a lot of immigrant community. A lot of different cultures are melted there, and they really have a strong knit community. If you see the different types of houses, the housing market is actually different as well. You got stone paved sidewalks. It's just a different look. You don't even know you're in Newark sometimes, or certain places. Development is off the chain. Single 3-family row house attached on Pacific, no parking, $475. Again, it's like this. The house is literally like this. 3 apartments, no parking. You got another little house right next to it. You got another little house right next to it. $475. Just like that, right? So I say that to say, as an investor, we're getting into where to invest. So these two words are pretty much boxed up. If you can get in at a good deal through an auction or a referral or something of the sort, grab it immediately. However, where does that put everyone else, right? So now you have the West Ward, you have the South Ward, and you have the North Ward. So, the North Ward is starting to be similar to the East Ward. It's highly residential. Branch Brook Park takes up a huge majority of the North Ward, which limits the amount of footprint on housing that you can have, right? Again, you ride up Bloomfield Avenue through the North Ward. It'll take you right to Bloomfield, New Jersey. You just go right up Bloomfield Avenue, take you right into Bloomfield. And if you ride that corridor, again, it's littered with tons of thriving businesses. Services that the community needs. From food to auto repair to printing and business card design, everything you can name it. And those persons, so the thing is, the persons that live behind that commercial corridor utilize the services right in their community, which stimulates financial monies flowing through that particular ward. That's how it works, right? So when you get into, so let's just knock out North Central, right? We're gonna skip we already went over that. So now we're talking about the West South Ward. These are the two hottest wards to invest in right now. Right? Many people won't agree with me. That's okay. But in my professional opinion of this market, right now, the West and the South Ward are the most popular wards to purchase in. Right? You know why? Because it has the most inventory. Inventory is going to lead you to wealth and success. Right? So when you go and buy something rare from Gucci or Fendi, might be one or two of a kind, it's super expensive, right or wrong. But when you go to Kmart or Walmart, they got 1 billion of them, so it's super cheap. It's the laws of economics, economies of scale, right? So what you want to do is focus on the South and the West Ward. Tons of inventory, even inventory to build. You got lots, you got properties that are vacant, right? And quite honestly, right now, Essex County Sheriff Office has over 600 foreclosures a month in the city of Newark. Wow. Just in the city of Newark. A large majority of these property owners are in the South and the West Ward. So what does that tell you? If you got 60 of these, would you be happy?
Mm-hmm.
Some case, if you got 6, would you be happy?
Be happy with
So
that.
you gotta go, in this business, the money is in the distress. When you can solve a problem, that's when you'll be successful in real estate. Yes.
Dumb question, but what would you count as West and South Ward?
There's an actual map.
Okay.
So what we could do, if anybody wants a copy of the map, I could just print it out in my computer. And actually, when you go to Google Earth, you can Google West Ward, and then it'll just show you like the outline of the map. And then those are the target areas that you want to succumb to.
Maybe west of MLK, right?
Yeah, west of MLK is
a little bit further.
going
west.
towards Freeland-Heisen. That's the south side.
Yeah.
West side is like off the top of North Ward, and then it kind of wraps around. It's not a total grid. It's kind of like a little. These are like little funny shapes. So in order to be strong, that's an absolute great question. See, your first question, she want to know what the
They
boundaries
have
are.
a map with political. They're political voting zones. So like, let's see.
Yes.
So it actually it's an official map.
Okay.
Yeah, they have an official grid map. So the first question, right? How do you know where to invest? You got to know your maps. You got to know exactly what the parameters are, the borders, and such, right? So 600 foreclosures a month in Newark alone. I would say that's a great opportunity for some wealth. Would you agree? Right? So now, when you look at it in the South and the West wards, right? You can go. This is why I'm gonna give you a couple of reasons why you being in the class and you being on the ground is gonna give you a competitive advantage to most people that are doing this from a computer, right? If you're doing it out of market on a computer, you're missing the real gems. Because guess what people do? In the South Ward and the West Ward, they Google everything. And they Zillow everything. Right? Zillow's never been in the house. No one's been in the house. It's been boarded up for how many years? The house has been boarded up longer than Zillow's even existed. Right? This house has been boarded up or in the area longer than Google. This data is not accurate. But if you're shopping online for a house, you're missing the whole bull. Right? Additionally, people are checking crime stats. Right? You got the largest city in the state of New Jersey, over a population of 300,000 people. You damn right it's gonna have some crime stats. Absolutely.
I had a property. I sold it. I had a mortgage on it, and they bought it out. But the guy foreclosed again, right? So we was buying it again. And then I asked her because it was $950 was a rent, right? But recently there was a shooting, right? 2 people got shot and died last week or 2 weeks ago, right? And I asked her, what's the rent for a 2-bedroom after 2 people got murdered in the front of the house? What was your answer?
$1,200.
I said, no, but I told her, they got murdered, it was in the news, you know, it was a big deal, it was a gang-related crime, and it's a 2-bedroom apartment. What was it,
It's
right?
still $1,200 on the rent.
No matter in
Right.
Chinese
You can't go to the bank and say, "Oh,
sorry,
I want to
yeah,
buy
that-
this house." Try going to Wells Fargo or Bank of America or anything and say, "Look, somebody wants $350,000 for this house." But talk to the appraiser and say, "Oh, but there was just a crime on that block." They don't care. This is income. This is black and white paper. They don't care. And the whole point of how do you drive all of this down? How do you drive the crime down? By increasing occupancy.
Wait.
If there's more eyes on that block, let me just finish this particular point. Obviously, crime breeds in the dark. Crime breeds when there's no one there watching. Crime is going to continue to fester in dark little corners of the city. These two, they're the gems of the city. They have so many mansions, stained glass windows, huge bedrooms. I mean, you want to talk about it? The inventory is phenomenal. Yes, crime is rampant, but again, my point was, if you're in a city of 300,000 residents, it's going to be a higher crime ratio than what you might be warm and fuzzy with. Let's face it. But that does not mean that there's not an opportunity for economic growth. And with economic growth comes change of crime, comes change of community thinking, comes change of different behaviors and patterns. More eyes are watching, less things are going to happen, right? But until you get over that, you're not going to win. There's challenges. But any challenges at your job right now that you do, I'm sure there's somebody right now, a coworker you can't stand, maybe be your supervisor. But you go for 2,080 hours a year. This is the average 40-hour work week. You deal with it. But then when I tell you you got to do 90 days of flipping a house in one of these wars with crime, you're scared. Wrap your mind around that. So,
I think I had a question.
yes, I'm ready.
Now, like for instance, a situation like that where you have a property that people were murdered in front of or shot in front of, renting to people now, could you expect to get quality, or are you just going the Section 8 route at this point to try to?
If you ask me the question, a lot of times you'll buy, like, let's say, some people in the neighborhood might know what happened in the area, but they live in the area already, right? And some people are moving to the area. So like what happens is, like not to get too deep, but basically in New York, the rents are the rents, right? So it kind of didn't matter what was going on, the crime area, because a lot of murders in New York, right? A lot of killings, a lot of crime.
in New York as
People
well.
are still paying $5,000 for an apartment, right? Mm-hmm. And now what happens is those people cannot pay $5,000 for rent, right? So now when they gotta move to Jersey City's crazy. So now it's like, all right, you gotta pay $1,300 for an apartment, right? You look up, and then guess what? The choices are what they are. So it's gonna make the economics what it is. So you may not get if the street was a little bit better, you might get like $1,500, but you're based on what the market is saying. So someone's gonna come in there. Like I bought houses where there was a fire and I didn't even know that people died. Like literally, people died.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I buy the property, and then the lady, we're almost finished, and then the lady goes, "Hey, that house, wasn't that the house where there was these people died on the 3rd floor?" There's no way I'm gonna know that. So there's gonna be new. It's a transient market, so new people are gonna come in every time. And again, if you knew about that, you might be like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then if you're living good, it's okay. But if you're looking for a $1,200 apartment and there's nothing left, you might be like,
That's what you're gonna see.
"Still alright, that's it."
So to further answer your question, so I think we kind of talked about where to invest, right? So I said South and West Ward. Why? Let me give you the top 3 reasons. Tons of inventory. 2, right? Tons of tenants, right? And number 3, tons of equity. That's your formula right there. Inventory, tenants, and equity. That's your formula, right? Because you could buy low enough in these 2 wards to build equity. Tenants, let me tell you something about Newark. If you're from the South Ward, you want to live in the South Ward. If you're from the West Ward, you want to live in the West Ward. It's rare that people change. I'm on the homeless coalition, so I deal with a lot of displaced families, and they're like, look, we're from the South Ward. I know we don't, do we have anything in the South Ward? People are really particular ward based. I mean, there's a deep pride in the city from the residents. And then let's talk about, you have 300,000 residents, right? Oh, I almost put a dollar sign. You have 300,000 residents in the city of Newark. 80% rent. Would you agree with me that you're not going to have a problem with tenants? And then now we got people transferring in from New York, Philadelphia, Michigan, Bergen County. I mean, I could go on with the calls that I get from people out of town. In addition to the 80%. They just built a new affordable housing building, 46 units, and about 20% of those units are going to be for affordable. The waiting list is 500 people.
That's the building I want.
500 people waiting list. Right? So would you agree that you're going to have a strong amount of tenants? Right? So we will further get into that when we get to point number 6. But for now, are we clear where to invest?
Yeah.
Everybody's clear on that, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. So we're done with that. Now, let's talk about commercial property, which there's an abundance of as well, right? You ride around, you see it. Now let's define commercial property, right? Commercial property are considered 5 units or more, right? Also mixed use. Now mixed use, I'm gonna put an asterisk because there's some little back end rules that you could finagle on a mixed use that I'll get into. But let's say 5 units or more. Now, most of the larger buildings are in the Central Ward, as I mentioned, right? Because this was the area back when industrial and textiles and industry and shipping was really, really strong. They built a bunch of pre-war buildings, huge buildings, 75 units, 18 units, 50 units, all that. That is more geared towards the downtown because they wanted to make sure that the workers could get to work. So as you go further out in the South and the West Ward, that building style of 100 or 50 units doesn't really exist. It doesn't really exist, right? But that doesn't mean you can't propose it at some point, right? But the area is so unstable. There's so many properties that need to be renovated, and then the way that those markets in the South and the West Ward are created, it's like little piano keys. So you got a few, consider the Black Keys buildings, and then you got White Keys that are vacant lots. So it's hard to kind of play it right? Because it's like 2 lots, then a building. So you can't really put that footprint unless you own a large piece of land. You can't really add that footprint up there because those wards were more for residential living, right? Maybe maybe middle management of whatever was going on in the waterfront or the ports at some time. Because you really got to think when buildings are built. When cities are built, they're built to accommodate the people, and if the commerce is downtown, then you're going to have offices downtown to be able to do the paperwork for that commerce. Then you're gonna go back, then that's probably right where the tenants or the workers are gonna live. Then you go back, then that's probably where middle management lives. And then you go a little further, or maybe some little pockets downtown is where the CEOs and presidents live. If you really look at it that way, right? So that's why the South and the West wards have more smaller lots divided up and not too many. So you're not gonna find a lot of 5+ units as much in the South and West wards. They do exist, but you're not gonna find them so much. What I suggest is to look into the mixed use for the commercial piece, right? Because everybody wants to have 20 rents, 30 rents, right? That's great. But sometimes you gotta work your way up to that, or you gotta build that product, right? Because the value is in that rent roll, returning on your investment, right? So mixed use units, well, 5+ units. Sometimes you have to build it. So you gotta acquire a large land mass, or in that case, you may overpay if it already exists. Right? Because usually buildings of this magnitude come with some type of HAP contract, which is a subsidy from the state for affordable. They come with HUD contracts, which is another subsidy. So as the projects get bigger, they may have subsidized contracts through the state, which prohibit quick sales, which prohibit quick flipping of those type of properties. And then when you're getting 40% to 60% of your rent roll subsidized through the government, are you really selling? Probably not. So again, this inventory is slim, and I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but this inventory is pretty much slim, right? Number 2, mixed use. Mixed use is a little bit more popular. Again, what did I say? If you go up and down certain cities and certain corridors, you're going to see a high vacancy ratio in the South and the West Ward. However, the play is on mixed use. You want to really get 3 units or more in a mixed use, right? Because you can actually use FHA on 3 units or more with a mixed use, up to max 4 units, including the commercialized space. You can use FHA mortgage for that. Anything over 5 units is considered commercial, and the qualifiers are different, okay? You're talking 20-30% down, right? Which is a different play altogether.
If you've had FHA in the past and no longer have it, can you still do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
FHA can be used multiple times, just one time at a time, if that makes sense. Right? So once you have one and you sell a property with FHA, or you refinance out of FHA, you can use FHA again. A lot of people don't know that, because they tell you can only use it once, which is true. You can only use it once at a specific time.
It's the same thing with
But
the
isn't it-
veterans too, right?
Correct. Same thing with the
But
veterans.
is there like a time frame? I read it was similar to the time frame, but there has to be like within 3 years. You couldn't have broad property.
No, I think it's like a 12-month window.
You want me to chime in on commercial?
So yeah, and I'm gonna let Jeff chime in on the commercial piece too, because he and I work commercial as well. So just to give you a little bits going back to this.
Okay, so look, like, and this is to answer your question. You're looking just for commercial, for apartment type commercial?
Yeah, residential commercial,
Okay.
anything 5+.
Because I see this as something that a strategy that's like, because there was a time where in Newark, New Jersey, it was harder for companies to believe to come into, to make
Right,
a case to come in here.
Yeah.
But now you already got the first wave.
Yeah.
So a way to make money with commercial real estate is tenant based. If you get commercial tenants, if you're able to lock in commercial tenants or know where they're going, and you can sign a lease with them,
Right.
and you basically got the land. Like, let's say if you go up.
So are you speaking like strip malls now, or?
It's corporate tenants, because the thing is, it could
Yeah.
be another addition to commercial could always be industrial, retail, office, right?
Right.
As a basic, or even hotels. But a lot of times with retail tenants, they give you long-term leases.
Right.
So sometimes it's 20 years, 40-year leases,
Right.
or even longer than that sometimes. So if you notice, you could talk a little about that deal in no, the trail. The one out, if you go up Southport, Springfield Avenue, where they had the deal with the Walgreens.
Oh, right. So this is a perfect example of commercial as well. And why commercial? You got to be clear, because there's different as
Yeah, I
Jeff
can
said,
see
it's
that,
different
yeah.
categories
Yes.
to commercial. When you say commercial, obviously, commercial buildings are 5 units or more of residential.
Right.
However, what Jeff is saying, to really be in a commercial game, you definitely want to get a triple an A+ tenant, right?
Yes.
So if you go to Springfield Avenue and Grove Street, anyone familiar with that area? Springfield Avenue and Grove Street, like that might still be considered Newark/Irvington, where they meet up. So here's the kill, right? So that little corner right there, it goes like that, right? And then you got Ellis over here, right? So right here there was a Popeyes, right? There was a Popeyes. So Popeyes is right on the corner. This is Grove, and this is Spring. I'll just put Spring. Okay. And what happened was, they're on a major corner.
Yeah.
Over here you got Maple, the big Maple Gardens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how many units. At least 1,000 units right there, right? So 1,000 people living right there, across the street from Popeyes. Bus stops here, up a little bit into Irvington, you got the terminal. So this, and then 280 is not too far, plus 78. So would you agree that this is like a huge,
Yeah.
heavily traveled corner, right? So Popeyes. So what happened was Walgreens wanted to be there. Walgreens wanted to be there. So what they did, do you believe Walgreens paid Popeyes out and bought them the lot back here?
Yeah.
Popeyes literally moved back here.
But Walgreens loves those corners, yes. Yeah.
Walgreens only does
Yes,
Main
corners.
and Main.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They have
Their commercial is on the corner of, that's their commercial.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're really
Popeyes,
good.
listen,
Yeah.
Walgreens wanted that commercial space so bad that they paid Popeyes to leave, bought them this land, and said, this is our corner now. And bought them out. Imagine if you were Popeyes. They were already doing great on sales. They were just, you know, you got KFC struggling across the street.
But
Yeah. But the point is, they wanted this location so bad. So with commercial, what am I saying? With commercial, if you really want to be in a commercial game, like really, really commercial, you want to target areas that have a high footprint, high traffic. Like for example, right now there's a property for sale in Newark, okay? And it's right across the street from Sonic, Springfield Avenue, Irvine Turner, and right there where the ShopRite is. It's a little drive-through. Used to be an old bank,
Yeah.
right? I know the broker on
That was like
it,
the
right?
first thing or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's only a matter of time. You get in control of that site. It's only a matter of time that somebody like a Walgreens, somebody like a CVS, somebody like a Rite Aid, or another franchise. Maybe not Wendy's, but you know, maybe they already have Taco Bell over there. But the point of the matter is,
the key thing is just to recognize is that with a land lease, right, you don't have to build anything.
right? You don't have to
and
build
you
it.
actually get paid the rent unlimited, usually 40 years, 20 years, 60 years.
Correct.
And you go to the bank and get the money back. And a lot of times if you all you do is option the property and make the deal. Have the thing is have control of the tenant.
Have control over the
If you
tenant.
have control of the tenant, they a lot of times do their own development. So you really are a landowner leasing to them for a long term, and it's
Right.
passive income that's
Passive income.
unlimited. You know,
Right.
that's key. Right now.
Land lease?
Correct.
And-
This is
and-
called-
and most cases it'll end up to be a land lease, but it'll be a long term. Sometimes
A
99
long-term
year
land lease. So the goal is to get in control of the property through a lease of a long-term lease
No, option. You're on option.
with an option or acquisition.
Okay, so the option would be, they could stay until you're ready for them to go
You-
pretty much.
Let me
I'll let him break it
It's
down.
simple and to move on. If you have a tenant in hand, right?
Right.
If you have, like, let's say, the relationship.
You
with-
have
with-
CVS.
TBS, let's say, and usually there's real estate managers that actually handle it. So they're looking for the area, and they're looking to be in Newark right now, right?
Right.
So now you do what they call an option to buy the property, right? The reason why you do an option, so if you can't get anybody, you don't
You're
buy the
not
land and get stuck
liable.
with land.
Right.
You go, but you usually have a term during the option,
Okay.
so it gives you time to negotiate with these
Okay.
and it gives you control of the site. And once you have site control, you negotiate with the different tenants. Once you have the lease signed up, everything is good. Then you usually can actually go to the bank to then close on the loan because they want a piece of what you got.
Okay.
They want a perpetual rent because
Right.
it's good to have
Right, so
tenants.
if you have a strong contract.
a strong, and
There
the
you
key
go.
thing is having a strong tenant that you control. If you have a strong tenant you control, and in Newark they're coming now, so that's a big strategy play.
So the bank is looking for certain wordage.
They're gonna
In
try-
their
they want
in their
interest.
contract, they're looking for certain wordage, right? So-
Yeah,
The bank
so
is
they're-
looking for leverage,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So you got a 40-year lease with Walgreens or CVS. You're gonna get money from the bank to close and buy the land. Now you're the eternal landlord on that deal.
Yeah.
That's your rent.
Yeah.
Okay, to make that
And
simple.
the bank has secure interest payments coming in, and you know that Walgreens is paying the rent.
Right.
Yeah, they're not going
They're
anywhere.
not going anywhere.
They can never sell anything. They're still gonna pay because they have a corporate. You know how the corporations are set up. So we're clear with like the commercial with different types of commercial. I just want to talk about the mixed use really quick, and then we're gonna move on because I don't want everybody to be here too much longer today. Okay? So mixed use. So the play on that is pretty much the same. You may not get a strong Class A tenant, but there's B and C tenants that will pay. And we're talking B and C will probably anywhere 5 to 7 year lease terms, right? Which is fine. Now, what I said with this with the FHA is always owner occupied. So let's not confuse that. We're talking about investments, but they always want you to be owner occupied, which is why they give you low interest rate, low down payment, blah, 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 right? However, they will lend on a property that's 3 units up to 4 units that includes 1 mixed use commercial retail space. Right? And when you're buying this property, here's a quick little formula when you buy commercial mixed use. You really want to count first floor, second floor, third floor. Let's just say it's a 3 unit and this is the retail. And then this is the apartments here. Right?
Yeah.
So you kind of want to buy it where you're not going to get no rent for the first floor. You
Yeah.
never want to assume what the rent you're going to get. This is where a lot of people mess up. They think that they're going to be like, oh, well, it's 2,200 square feet, so I'm going to get $2,200 a month, and then I'm going to get 15 here, and then I'm going to get, because these rents are fixed. 2 bed, 3 bed, that's fixed rent. You know you're probably going to get 1,200 plus, or you're going to get 14, maybe 1,300 plus, right? But here's always going to be a variable. But if you fill this number in with something that you don't even control, unless you have a tenant,
Unless it's your business.
unless it's your business,
Right.
correct? Unless you know the tenant, with i.e. yourself, or have a contract for someone else, this is a vacuum. So when you're purchasing these properties, you really almost have to consider maybe not $0, but at least $1. And that's how you stay within the guidelines of owning a mixed use property.
It's good to know. Yeah.
Okay? Because if you start putting a number in there that's over the top and talking about the bank, I'm going to get $2,200, $2,500 for the first floor. I already know the market gives me $1,200 for the 2 bedroom, $1,300 for the 3 bedroom, and you start doing those numbers, and you never get a tenant, you're gonna lose your shirt real quick because you overfinance the property. So that's the little key with buying mixed use and or commercial. So is everybody clear with that?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're good. We're getting down, guys. We're knocking this off a little bit. Any questions so far? Awesome. So how to close? Whew. This is a loaded one. How to close. So when you say how to close, you were really talking about how to get deals.
Yeah.
Now who? How to get deals. Now, this is my number one thing right here. This is what I love very much, right? What did I say? There's profit in the problem. There's profit in the problem. We just said 600 foreclosures a month. There's profit in the problem. But you got to be out there in the problem's face. I don't know an agent that delivers A1 deals to anybody. Because guess what? Now agents are investors. Most agents that I know, they're buying, they're also brokering, they're wearing a lot of hats, right? So if it's a $30,000, $40,000 deal, you're not going to hear about it. You're not. So how do you get ahead of that? How do you get ahead of the bidding wars? You got to procure your own business. You want a $60,000 deal, you got to go get it. No one's going to deliver $10,000, $60,000 houses to you. It's just not going to happen at this time in this particular market. If you do, God bless you. but the chances are you're not, right? Or it might be 1 and you need 10. Number 1. So point A, you guys have to look at the foreclosure list. Right? You gotta look at the foreclosure list. Let me backtrack 1 second before we go to that. I call this the trifecta. Let me just go over this really quick. Because getting to the closing table is really how you start off. How much cash, how much hard money, and how much soft money do you have access to? Because if you're not prepared with this, you can meet somebody today like, please take my house. If you don't have this, you're never going to get to this. So let's start with that. So you got to have cash, hard money, and soft money qualifications. Right? Because at any given time, it's like a little 3-card model. You put 30% of your cash down for the hard money, and then you refinance with the soft money. Okay? That's a quick little analogy. That's the Rose trifecta.
So could you go over that one time? I was writing it down.
Yep.
Rose trifecta.
The Rose trifecta. You gotta have cash. Cash is like liquid. How much cash, if you had to go right now, there was a purge, there was a zombie apocalypse, and they said the only way you're gonna live is get cash. How much cash could you just grab up right now and walk out the house with? Right? That's real. It gotta be liquid. So, whether it's $5,000 or whether it's $500,000, it doesn't matter. This is not about judgment. This is about truth. What do you have access to? And how can you leverage that for hard money or soft money? I call it soft money.
So your soft money will be what?
Soft money is a mortgage. We talk about it all the time.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Soft money, because it's a lower interest rate, 30 years. It's a little softer. It's harder to get, but it's softer on you, right?
Yeah.
Hard money is high interest rate. They want their money back in 24 months sometimes 18 months, 12 months. It's a harder turnaround time. It's a softer turnaround time. So when you say hard and soft, I'm talking about the turnaround time on the money, right? So if you only got $5,000, that might be enough to leverage hard money. Then with hard money, you can do LLCs and partnerships. So if you got 5, somebody else got 5, somebody else got 5, you could do hard money under a corporation. Soft money, they want your firstborn, they want to know your blood type.
Shoe size.
They need to know what that 200 out the ATM was for. They all up in your business. Right? But that's okay. Because if I'm loaning you $300,000, I need to know when you blow your nose. I'm sorry. I need to know, right? So, but the point is, this is the Rose trifecta. You have to have all 3. People are like, how much cash do you need? How much? No, you need all 3. Because what you're going to do, you're going to find a foreclosure property. Someone's going to say, oh yeah, cash for keys. Cash for keys, $15K. Right? You don't have $15K, but you might have it with a group of people, or you might have $5,000 to leverage for hard money lending, and then get that, right? Hard money, both the hard and soft money, guess what? They both offer renovation money right now. 99% of the time, if it's on a foreclosure list, it needs work. 99% of any property that you buy right now is going to need some work, unless it's brand new construction. Brand new construction.
When you're talking about the 15,000, so that's a foreclosure before it's actually foreclosure?
Correct.
You're dealing with the client.
Yes.
You're trying to give the client something before
Before
they
the offer.
Listen,
they have
if
to
you leave it to the
That's
bank,
a good way to.
if you leave it up to the bank in these REO properties, you're going to overbid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was an REO property for a 3-family, right on Badger, 3-family. They wanted $199 for it, new construction. It was built in 2009. It needed work, new construction, legal 3-family, newer construction, 2009. Right? They were asking $199. My client bid $280,000 and still is a backup offer.
You don't know what it went for actually?
No, not yet. We won't know until it
Yeah,
closes.
because I just saw it said pending.
Yeah, because they took an offer.
It's
Now,
crazy.
part of the reason he overpaid, but that doesn't mean that someone overpaid over him. They could have just had more favorable terms. And we'll talk about that because that's on how to close. Closing is not how much you're going to pay for it. That's not everything. Everything is a system to this. So we'll get to that. So we're all clear with the Rose trifecta?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rose,
Yes.
foreclosure list. Where just quick 1 or 2 places where you can find a list like that.
You just go to Essex County Sheriff's Office. It's
Okay.
public notice. They
All
put
right.
it out in the newspaper. You can go up there. They're located right on West Market Street.
West Market.
Right downtown. We can walk here from here.
So it's a place. Oh, okay. I know
The
what you're talking.
courthouse.
Yeah. I know what you're talking. All right. Okay.
The courthouse.
All right.
You can look online too, just for
Yeah,
sure.
the sheriff's. Yeah.
So that's where you get the deal. That's where you get the distressed owners from, right?
Yeah.
So I'm old school. I still go to people's. Mind you, I've been doing this for 20 years. I still go to people's houses. I still drop off letters. I tell people, you want to send a letter? Send it handwritten. Don't type a letter. They're getting a typed letter from the bank. They're getting a typed letter from attorneys. They're getting a typed letter from the tax workers. They're getting a typed letter from other investors. They're getting a type. They take that arm's length bundle of mail, look through it really quick. Hey, I got any checks in here? You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're looking for. I got any checks in here? Then they might see something handwritten. They pull it to the side. All that other stuff, shred, dump. Your $200 a month marketing budget for mailouts, shred, dump, never get read. Never. Gotta handwrite your letters. If you're not handwriting your letter, you're just wasting money, right? So I'm old school. I still go to the house. I still knock. I show up. You know, there's other ways where you can do find people's phone numbers. I'm gonna give a little tip. Sometimes how I find phone numbers. You ready? Zaba Search. It's a free site, and you type in an address or a person's name. When you go get the list, you got their name, you got their address. You type that in the Zaba Search. It may give you a phone number that works. It may give you a relative. It might give you an email address. Some extra advanced contact. Okay, so that's a freebie. This is a free site. But there are other things that you look. How bad do you want it? Are you going to invest in yourself? That's another part of the question, right? How do you get to the closing table? You got to get as much. You got to contact the people. So now you can go to the property. You can handwrite a letter. You could possibly send them an email. Social media. Hello. Social media. Right? They might be losing their house, but I bet you they showed you their turn up over the weekend.
Yeah.
I bet you can find them pictures of them with their family on 1 billion plus people on Facebook. Right? A lot of people losing their house, they still have jobs. You might find them on LinkedIn. So don't underestimate the power. Mind you, I've been doing this for 20 years. There was no cell phone. There was no GPS. The biggest thing that I was excited about back then was TomTom. Anybody know what TomTom is? Right.
GPS thing.
That's the big old $700 big old bulky thing. You put the suction cup, it kept falling down. But you were just happy to have some type of sense of direction, because I was literally opening up maps. And because of those skills, I could figure out any city at any given time, because I still have the fundamentals.
Right.
So when I go back to that other point with Zillow and Google, you get lazy, you're not going to make money. If you got to be out here in the streets, you got to be in the trenches, you got to be in the courthouse, you got to know the people, you got to know the tax records office. If they don't know you, you don't know them, you're not going to make no money. Point blank, relationships. So social media, Zaba Search, keys to closing, keep cash for keys. So foreclosure list, right? Now you got your money. So anytime, okay, at any given time, I carry contracts on me, blank contracts. I have a blank contract on me every day, at least 3 of them, because I'm in the game. You never know who you're going to meet. I might be at the hair salon, I might be at church, I might be at supermarket over here to come, oh, well, you know you don't have to go to foreclosure, right? Are you the legal owner? Okay, matter of fact, come on, let's go to Dunkin' Donuts. Let's talk about your problem. Pull out my tablet, check the tax records. Oh, you are the owner. Let me see your ID. Oh, okay. Well, listen, let me buy this house right now. Let's just go under contract.
You make an offer right then and there?
On the spot. I don't need to
A
see
cash
it.
offer, you don't even need to see
It
it?
depends. It depends on the
Well,
numbers. It
that's-
depends on the scenario. But my goal is I need to get you locked in. If I wisen you up and let you walk away, now you're gonna go talk to 10 other people. If I wisen you up, I need you to stay right here. We getting married right now. We eloping. But we getting married right here. Because I'm so serious and confident in what I can deliver and do for these people that they don't even want to go anywhere else.
Are you personally buying, or you have clients that are buying?
Well, I do buy sometimes, but I never mix it. I kind of buy some things out of market, or I do kind of keep some things as a purchase. But my primary purpose is to really broker a lot because there's so much inventory, and I'd rather lead the people and connect the dots than just trying to be in a position to buy everything. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you gotta spread it out, right? Because I could only fix so many houses at so many times. And my goal right now, I'm moving to development, so I'm looking to build ground up.
And are you, with a lot of these homes, are you doing flips, or are you doing buy and holds for rental?
I really do a lot of brokering right now. So it's up to what the client wants.
What are you finding, I guess, then clients buying?
A lot of clients are buying and holding. I just told you, 80% rental market.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? You don't have a lot of end buyers. Who's gonna buy?
Yeah.
Everybody's renting. Who's gonna buy? You can fix it all the way up and try to flip it. Who's really gonna buy it? It's not there yet. I don't say the market's mature enough to be flipping. That's just my personal opinion. So the buy and hold play is right now in the South and West Ward. So let's keep moving because it's getting late. So foreclosure list, now you get them under contract. Never go meet somebody without a contract. You did your homework, you stalked the house. I stalk houses. Jeffrey will tell you, like, I stalk houses. I'll go by the house, like, in the middle of the night, 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I don't know. I've got a little flashlight in the windows. Like, if there's something there, I'm in it. I'm in it. I went into a house the other day with a client. This was an off-market property for a family. I swear to God, I didn't even tell Jeff this yet. I went in the house. He and I are in the house. I smell smoke. But I'm like, maybe somebody was just in here. I literally get in the property. There's a man squatting all the way down, smoking, in a little corner.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him. I was like, yeah, bro, we good. We just looking at it. We just kept walking. It's not my responsibility. It's not my problem. You understand? Because I don't own the property. Neither does my client. A 4-family, all 2 bedrooms in the city of Newark. Off market, with parking, everything. The guy wanted 170, so you darn right I'm going to go bring my client. We're going to go check it out because he's been looking for a while.
Yeah.
So the point is, get it under contract. Get it under contract, right? Then you want to take that contract to your lender ASAP. ASAP. Next stage, you want to get an attorney review.
This contract, did your lawyer prepared it? Is it a spot online you could pull one up?
Okay, this is where I'm going to branch off and say your team. The reason why I'm so successful, because I have a team, right? I am the realtor on the team, but you cannot do this by yourself. If anybody tells you that there's just them doing the deals, they're lying. Because you need an attorney. You may not listen to them all the time, but you definitely need them. Because attorneys are not investors. They'll tell you to kill the deal, and you're like, well, there, I just walked away from $20,000 in equity and $15,000 annual income. Attorneys are not investors a lot of the time. Some are, but they're not trained to be an attorney. They're risk adverse. So the higher the risk, the less they want you to do the deal. So you can't always listen to your attorney. Just, hey, is my paperwork right? Can I get sued? Am I, that's really all you care about. What's your liability?
Isn't that a good way to hire an attorney who is an investor, so they kind of understand?
Not so much, because every investor is different now.
That's true.
So you just want an attorney that's an attorney.
Yeah.
You just want them to look at it black and white, square nose, right?
Okay.
I got a deal right now where this attorney is telling my buyer, oh, don't move forward because it's an oil tank. She said, you know what? I'm going to just pay cash. Because the equity is so there.
Yeah.
What's the max? $10,000 that she's going to pay to remove the oil tank? Or 20 grand, right? But guess what? In the long term of everything, where this property is located, I mean, people are trolling that block every day to live there.
Where is it? You don't say.
I shall not say, sir. You know we're online. So, I will not. And number 2, you need an agent or broker. Not just anyone, a savvy one. Not a newbie. You want somebody that knows, that's connected, that knows the pulse of every market. So that's why I tell everyone to hire me. Hire me. The same shameless plug. Shameless plug, yeah. Great work, attorney. He's going to hand out my business cards at the perfect time. Hire me, especially if you want to be in this Newark market. Right? Or someone similar that's out here. Right? It never made sense to me why people want to go buy houses in Newark and go to a broker from Maplewood, or go to a broker from Kearney, or go to a broker from Jersey City. You got to be with the people that are in this community. that know what's going on. Number C, home inspector. If you don't get a home inspector, you set yourself up for failure. So when you go through the attorney review process, usually there's 2 attorneys, one for the buyer and one for the seller. Now you see how this starts to get complex because a lender is a person. Now you got 2 more people. A, B, C, D, E. Now you got your broker. Well, in this case, you won't. If you find a deal directly, you won't. So let's just assume you found this deal directly, you didn't use a broker, right? So now you got a home inspector. And then you're gonna have appraiser.
No.
Because even if it's cash, or if you're leveraging, like I said, appraiser's more for hard money and soft money. They're always gonna want to know what the value is.
Yeah, but they usually get an appraiser from a third party.
Correct, but there's still a team.
Yeah, okay.
You still got. I'm just saying, we're talking about how to get deals, how to close. This is the critical part of a closing. I'm just mentioning it over here as an attorney. You probably still want to have an appraiser as a part of your team, just so you can double check value, right? Broker's going to be able to do it, but the appraiser, if you might be a deal where like, no, I need to know absolutely what this is. This is what the market. Sometimes it's a unique property that there aren't any comps, or sometimes there's a situation where there haven't been a lot of sales, so you don't really know. And then now you got ARV pricing with foreclosures, bank foreclosures, REO. I mean, 3 houses the same exact type. One could have sold. One could be on the market for $35,000 with the bank that's going to go crazy bidding game. One could be on the market as a regular retail price, and then one could be as a private sale that's just a fix and flip.
Right.
It's the same property could be on
Yeah.
3 property cap, 3 different prices.
Right.
It's hard to tell what's the actual ARV sometimes, right? And just so you know, the sales price or the value of a property is what somebody's willing to pay at the end of the day. We got market value, but then it's how much are you really going to pay value, right? So trying to differentiate amongst all of that, you might need an appraiser on your team. It doesn't hurt. You may not use them every deal, but definitely having someone you can call on. Now, you got to do the home inspection, because the home inspection, this is critical, is going to give you the prescription of scope of work. Right? You see 3 families in one day, they all need renovation. How do you know which one has more value or less renovations than the other? You really don't know. To the naked eye as you're starting out, you really don't know. So your home inspector, that $300, $400 is worth it. Mind you, there's a cost to this game. Like, there's no freebies, and like, you got to put a little skin in the game, right? Right? Between your mail outs, going up to the Essex County, driving, your gas, it's always an expense. So the scope of work from the home inspector, they're going to give you electric, roof, windows. You know, they're going to break down a report that tells you what the issues are, right? And now we're getting into your contractor, right? You got to have a contractor, like the mayor had mentioned, former Mayor Sharp James mentioned earlier, electrician and plumber. Now, what a lot of people do and make this mistake, they go to the house, they bring these people out, and they go, well, yeah, tell me how much it's going to cost to fix it up. And they're going to say, they're going to write the biggest check out of your checkbook. You're pretty much giving them your checkbook when you say that. No. If you want to be smart and you want to really win, you tell them what you need. You never sit up there and say, hey, this house needs renovated, and what do I need done? No. They're going to say you need $100,000 worth of work done here for a $60,000 job. Because you don't know. Don't let ignorance be your downfall. With YouTube, social media, if you know that the house needs a new kitchen, go Google how to install a new kitchen. If you know it needs new heating, go Google how to install. You need to be an expert too, and there's a learning curve that you need to get caught up on. Okay?
And price-wise too.
And price-wise, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to take that home inspection, and I say prescription because it's going to be different little sections that they're gonna do a write-up of what's needed. You copy and paste, put it on your letterhead, and give it to the electrician and the plumber. And all you need to know is money and time. That's all you're asking them. How much and how long? And you need that times 3. You need to get 3 quotes from each of the subsections times 3, right? That's going to give you your ideal construction budget. Okay? So we're good with this, right?
So hold on, you're saying basically those 3 components, the contract, electrician, plumber, I just can't have a general contractor, just don't go through him only, just have these other facets?
He's going to sub it out to somebody himself.
Okay.
Unless your general contractor has a plumbing license and can pull a permit, an electrical license and can pull a permit, he's just the GC, and then he's going to sub it out. And he's going to charge you to do that. So why would you want somebody all wrapped in one? At least take that one person that's all wrapped in one. Okay, cool. But then go get the individual service providers to tie out and see what the real numbers are. Because when you got somebody running your ship like that, I'm gonna put a fee on top just to bring her as the plumber. And then I'm gonna put, how much, you're gonna charge them $10,000? All right, it's $15,000 with us. You see where I'm going with it? So that's the game. Because the contractor is going to make money whether you sell or rent the property out or not. Remember that. The contractor is going to make the money whether you ever get a rent or a contract to sell or flip that property or not. They made their money. They don't care if you sold it or got a tenant. They made their money in the construction. So be mindful of that. Sometimes also with contractors, you want to price out your own material because they add a premium for getting the material. It might charge you $500 to get all the stuff shipped. They're going to charge you an extra $2,500 just because they had to go running back and forth to pick it up. You don't know. Be smart about how your money's being spent. That's how a lot of people lose money because they overpay for construction, and then now you're trying to get rent, and you realize, like, wait, this was supposed to only be a $100,000 renovation. It's $150,000. I can't get $1,400 in rent. I wrote it as $1,200 in rent, and all your money, your profits went to the contractor. So you got to be wise. Okay, so now you got the appraisal. Let's just say everything lines up, right? How to get to the close? Well, number 1, you got to get ahead of the deal. I'm wrapping up. You got to get ahead of the deal. You got to go pre-foreclosure, i.e. before auction. People say it's all about who you know. It's really not.
You gotta know the owner.
You got to know the owner. All you need to know is one owner at a time. One owner at a time.
How long is that process, the pre-foreclosure? What is the length of time?
That's a variable, right? Because what you're trying to do, you're trying to buy the house from the person before the bank takes it. Each bank is different.
So
Bank of America might be this, Aquin is that, Carrington is this, Freedom, they all have different criteria and parameter, which is why you need to work with. Because that's my expert. I've been doing short sales since 2006. But or you can learn the hard way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
You don't have to.
No,
you can learn the hard way, or you can take the. You
By
can take the.
2026 and figure
Yeah,
out.
you'll be like 2026. You'll be like, I just closed. Congratulations. Better late than never. But if you really want to get in the game, you got to have experts around you and a team. We said back to team, right? Don't underestimate the value of a team. Yeah, they're going to get a piece, but so are you. But they're also going to protect your interests because now everybody has a vested interest. And trust me, how many in here people already have other jobs that they do? Everybody in here pretty much works outside of real estate, right? You don't have the time. The amount of attention that this needs, you don't have it. I can tell you that right now. You got kids and a wife and a house and a job. You don't have the time that this takes to do it. Okay? So pre-foreclosure before auction. Let's just go with REOs if you want to get an REO property. They're out there too. That's REO is equals real estate owned. That's it. That's what REO stands for. And that means the bank owns it. Simple translation. It's been already foreclosed. Now they come in low. Sometimes you'll see a property on the market, $35,000. But now you got to bid on everything, right? So be prepared to double your bid. Be prepared. If you're going in, they're asking $35,000 and you want $35,000 for the house, you're not going to get it. Because the bank is in the business, they price it super low. They already ate. By the time it gets to an REO site, this is their third time eating on the house. The first time is when they file an insurance claim. Right? They file an insurance claim. The second time, when is the second time?
No, the first time is when they got the.
Right. I'm sorry. Right. I'm bugging. So they eat 3 times on this house. The first time is when they got the loan, when you bought it. Because they made money on that interest when you buy the loan. The second time is when you default. The first late payment, they file a claim. Especially if it's an FHA or an insurable loan, insured back loan, right? So they made money twice already. When they foreclose, people crying, getting a divorce, losing their house, losing their hair, going through mental breakdowns. And when the bank goes to the sheriff's sale, the foreclosure actually happens, they only buy the house for $100.
Oh, I see that. I've gotten a lot of records.
They buy the house for $100. And then they go sell it again for $35,000. They put it on the market again. Then that gets bidded up to $120,000. So they ate 1, 2, 3 times on the same house that you're stressing about and you're embarrassed about. What's going on here, right? So the reality is, even when you get to, if you see REOs, be prepared to pay twice for the house. Just be prepared. Now it's automatic bidding. You can go automatic bids. You can put a cap on how much you want to bid on the house because there was so much. It depends on who you know. They cut all that out now. Now you have to do it through an automated third-party auction so that they can have a date and time stamp of who submitted what because they were doing a lot of funny business in the back end. They were, but they got caught, which is why there's a lot of grant money and things allocated to our community for purchasing in this community, right? That's a whole nother show. Okay, so we're good with all of that, right?
You gotta go number 4.
All right, so everybody's good with that? Did we get to the appraiser, the team, right? Because after you get all that data, then you just put your money up and close, right? I don't need to go through all of that part, right? So we're good with this. All right, we're moving along here. Find the vacant owners. I kind of answered that in a previous conversation, correct? So we can skip that. Fix and flips. I kind of did kind of go over that too, right? Because I said right now, Newark market, if you're fixing and flipping, there's not going to be that much of an end buyer unless you're building and flipping, right? So let's just touch on that real
You
quick.
could flip to an investor who does cash flow, right? Or buy and hold.
Correct, but how many of them? They want the same thing you want. They want equity, right?
Yeah.
Fixing and flipping, right? I call it the drumstick. This is another one of my little theory. Right? Here goes fixing and flipping on a drumstick theory. We all know what a drumstick is. Right? So, the drumstick theory is on a fix and flip, you want to have enough, you want to buy it low enough. Where when you fix it up, you took a bite out. Right? So you took a bite. Right? Because that's a little bit of equity. You ate it. You ate something. So when you finish fixing it and flipping it, when you flip it, right, your end user or end buyer is going to either be an investor, another investor, like you said, that wants cash flow, or an owner-occupied. Now, the only reason why they're going to come to you for this particular product is because there's still meat on the bone. Right? Because if you're trying to buy a property for $35,000, put $70,000 in, sell it for the max $280,000, the house is only worth $290,000, right? You want to be able to be attractive in the marketplace because everybody's going to be doing that. So if you want to really do a fix and flip, you got to leave a little bit of meat on the bone to incentivize someone to choose your product over someone else's. Everybody wants a deal. Give everybody a deal if you can. Now, just because your construction costs went crazy, you mismanaged, don't try to penalize the person over here. If you're smart about it, you could still make enough profit and leave enough profit on the table for the next buyer. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to always be in the game. But as soon as you start maxing out, people are going to be like, oh, who's the owner on that? Oh, no, I don't want that. Like, no, I can't mess with them. Because you're not giving anybody any wiggle or breathing room. Right? And you maxing out, you also may want to leverage something to the sort where it's like, you may want to leverage back where you're offering some closing costs or some credits or something of the sort to incentivize a deal. It's not those days of just buying property, fixing and flipping are not really so heavy in this particular market, primarily because why? 80% rent. So you trying to get $300,000 on a converted tenant. They were just a tenant 3 months ago. Now you want them to pay $300,000? Come on, let's be realistic, right? So, especially if you're talking to local people. And then with some of the things that we talked about earlier in class, you're trying to attract the New York over here, there might be one or two of them that might pay top dollar, but they still want a deal too, you know? So you gotta always be in the business of getting a deal and giving a deal. If you're not thinking like that, you're gonna have a short-term run in this investment game, okay? So, are we good with this part here? With the drumstick theory and everything? Okay. So fixing and flips, that's good. But again, just to reiterate, this is a buy and hold market. So you want to buy cheap, fix up cheap, and get the maximum rents. Maximum rents. So let me just talk about the rents really quick because we're getting into how to select tenants. When you buy your properties, you definitely want to consider the market rent. Everybody wants the market rent. That's cute. That's cute, right? Let's just say a 2-bedroom. Let's just say a 2-bedroom, $1,200 to $1,400. Obviously, depending on the space, you know, some rooms are 10 by 10, some rooms are 11 by 13. It's gonna all vary. I think some people wanted to come sit in. So it's all gonna vary, right? So that's market rent, right? That's the average. Some agent, or you looked on Zillow, God, Zillow, please, okay? Quit Zillow. Zillow's a good little starting point, but don't, the Zestimates and all that, it's so misinformation. They don't walk the properties. They have no idea. You'll see multifamilies listed as single families, X, Y, and Z, right? Okay, so when you're buying a deal, you want to do market, you want to look at the market rent. But I have something that I call, and this is another one of my things. Is that right? Sustainable rent. I almost forgot how to spell it, guys. You got me nervous. Sustainable rent. What is sustainable rent? Sustainable rent is when you're in a position where you can do $1,100 to $1,300 rent, where you can minus off $100 to $150 on the rent per month and still be okay with that deal. You got to be conservative with the rents, because as more units come up, the less desired, the softer rental prices get, right? And if you bought your deal at $1,100 and you actually are lucky to get $1,200 or $1,250, that's cherries on top. But if your deal is contingent upon you getting market rent, and then on that one block there's 12 other apartments, you kind of set yourself up for failure, financial failure. Because now you're going to carry that rental unit for 2 months longer than you anticipated. But you can cut yourself short a little, give them something shiny brand new for $1,100, then now it's $1,150, then now it's $1,200. Rents, what do rents always do? Go up. Go up. So if you start low enough to attract quality tenants, rents can always go up. If you're providing a great housing experience, they're going to stay there for a while, right? So you don't want to ever estimate the value of discounting rents from the beginning. All right. So that's number one. Number two, how to select tenants. Here's another concept that I have presented. This is stuff that's all going to be in my book too. So stay tuned, right? So how do you select the tenants? Now let's agree here. What time is it? Okay, I'm gonna go for another about 20 minutes and then we're gonna wrap up because I usually try to end by 12. So let's just say here, How many people work on Wall Street or work in New York City or got a big old corporate job? Okay. You know about those people, right or wrong, right? How many interview processes do they go through? At least 2 or 3, right? You know why they're doing that? Does anybody have an idea why a Fortune 500 company or a company that's going to pay you a lot of money, do you have any idea why they take you through multiple interview processes?
Best qualifications.
Okay, that's
Quality candidate.
Don't know if you're serious.
okay. So qualifications, know if you're serious. Now, mind you, in the day and age of media, they have over 1,000 resumes of people that qualify. They already have qualified people, up to 1,000. Whether you fluffed your resume or not, even if half of them are actually qualified, have a degree on it, right? They already have that. They're interviewing you 3 times for one specific reason. Corporate culture. They want to know, do you as a person fit? That's all. That's the same thing when you're doing tenants. You want to know if the tenant fits into your residential investment culture. Where's their mind? How do they come to the meeting? How do they meet with you? Are they distracted? Are they all over the place? Right? Let's call it what it is. You want to know if they're culturally prepared to live in a mature real estate investment environment such as yours. That's what you're really looking for. So what I suggest is you never be the first one to interview. Never interview first. Never interview first. Because if you interview first, you don't give yourself a lot of wiggle room. Always get friend, spouse, mom, dad, somebody, family that knows you. It's like a blind date thing. Right? So you want to do that. Because what's going to happen is they're going to set up a little checklist that you could go back to, a soundboard. So when you meet with that person, oh, they were kind of all over the place. They never really answered my questions directly. They kept answering their cell phone. You know, they brought like 2 people with them, saying it's going to be a 1-bedroom apartment. You got somebody else vetting it out before you. So now when you go into when you are maybe the second person, right? Now you have something to go off of. And you're looking for the same things on that checklist to dispel it, yes or no. By telling them you're the owner and meeting with them, you're going to put them on what's going to happen. Hi, yes, my name is Susan, and all the while, that's not really their character. They're going to put their mask on. But if you just tell them you're going to meet, oh yeah, okay, we're going to meet with this, or have that person be the call again. Right? To be successful, you don't have to be in the front. If I would put a lineup right now, who the owner of Starbucks is, would you know? Maybe the Walmart, maybe some more popular, but if I said who owns Family Dollars, would you know? No. It doesn't matter that it's you that's the owner. You just want rental income coming in each month. You don't care that they know what you look like or who you are. You actually prefer them not to know who you are. Because people pay rent based on people pay and spend money based on how they feel. So if they start to feel, and if it's a deal where you got to do an owner occupancy, you're just a tenant. I've been in a property I lived in, they were like, yeah, the landlord, they never got back to me. I didn't really know what happened. And I'm the owner. And I'm like, yeah, send them another email. They probably didn't get it. Stabilize my own community, right? I'm not the owner. The LLC owns it. The entity owns it. I just so happen to be the managing partner, but I'm not the owner, right? Because as soon as they see me pull up, it's something brand new, bringing Macy's bags in the house, or groceries, tons of groceries. You'd be surprised if people get jealous over. Now they're going to determine if they want to pay me based on how they feel about me. I'll pay her late. She got it. I'll pay Blaze late. He just pulled up. They just got married. They got money. They just came back from vacation. They got money. I'll pay him late. That's how people think. We do that now. How many of us right now owe somebody or owe a bill some money and you're like, well, I didn't like how customer service treated me when I tried to get my extra blah, blah, blah. And you got them late. You might pay them right to the due date, but you're not paying them first. Right? We do that now. We pay things based on how we feel about it. So we can't misconstrue when you're talking and dealing with tenants. So after they get to that screening process, another thing you want to do, now, in Newark or in more urban environments, credit is not maybe the strongest. So you cannot be just score driven. If you do that, you're going to sit there with a property for a long, long time. So what you want to do is really understand the types of credit that people have, right? Because then there's revolving, there's judgments, there's installments, right? Medical, collections. There's different types of credit. So if you don't even understand what credit looks like, how are you going to judge somebody on their credit? If you don't understand how credit works, how are you going to judge somebody based on their credit score? That's an unfair advantage. Because most people have bad credit because they are paying rent. And they don't have enough money to pay for the other things that they need to. So now you're going to judge them because you see how it just starts to be a catch-22? And you could essentially miss out on a great tenant that's going to preserve, keep it clean, nice, blah, 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 because they have a 540 credit score and not a 620. But guess what? If you take them like that, then you make them promise to go through a credit building program. So by the time that they leave out of your 12 months of renting the apartment, they got better credit when they left. You got to incentivize people. You got to give them hope. That's how they respect you. You're giving them a way. You're giving them an opportunity. That's how people are going to respect you. But if you're turning them away based on credit, guess what? You're going to be sitting there with that apartment on 20th Street for the next 3 months. And you're going to wish that you would have took them because they had strong income. Because she came to you sincere. Like, look, I got 3 kids. School's about to start. My kids go to school right around the corner. It's the perfect apartment. Listen to people's why. Listen to people's why. And then verify it. Because like Reaganomics, trust but verify. Okay? So, how to select tenants. Okay, cool. So then also, right, this is on the ownership side. Really quick because I'm wrapping up. How you prepare your lease also tells you what type of tenant you're going to have. So you want a lease. The purpose of a lease is what? Where is the house? How much is the rent? How long? Who? Right? Who's renting? And then who's landlord? Right? Those are the major components of a lease. Right or wrong? 4, right? 4 or 5. Okay. What, you had a question?
I said, who cuts the grass and shovels the walk?
Yeah, maintenance.
Depending on the building.
In terms. That's fine.
Maybe for single family.
That's fine. Right? But again, this is the basic of a lease, right? And that's cool. You put a couple of numbers, you type something up, you get an attorney, cool. But that's not enough. Right? Because then in the lease you gotta have penalties. And you gotta have other requirements. Right? Other requirements might renter's insurance. Never underestimate the value of the renter's insurance. You might also have direct deposit clause. You might have pets. Yes or no? Utilities. These are other components of leases that people don't take into consideration. And based on how you have this structure, that might turn a scamster tenant or a little seedy tenant away. Because they're like, oh no, I gotta have renter's insurance to live there. I don't even have car insurance. I'm not living here. And these things start to sort the character of the individual. Direct deposit, oh no, I know I said I got pay stubs, but I made them up. So I don't really know how you're going to be taking money out of my account every month when I barely, right? That person's going to go. They're going to evaporate. They're not going to call you back. But an upright person, despite their credit score, will respect these little terms right here. And that's character. You're looking for character when you're how to select a tenant. Right? It's character and cash flow. Two things. So, when we talk about penalties, right? You want to really be a professional in this game? In your leases, you should also have incentives. So if you get direct deposit, I'm going to give you $25 off a month. Or $10 off a month. Or I'll give you a $25 ShopRite gift card every month, every time you pay. If I get my rent on the 31st, I'll give you a $25 gift card to ShopRite. Why not? You made sure my family ate, because I got my rent, so I'm going to make sure your family eats. Literally. What's wrong with that? Right? And those are tax write-offs. Or if you get $25 off a month, you can just give them a credit at the end of December. You don't have to do it on a monthly basis. So 25 times 12, and then you give them that amount off in December around Christmas time. You're in control. We're called landlords. We are the lords of our lands. There's basics, and then there's us. We create these terms and agreements. Right? So, and then mind you, right, my book is going to be entitled Eviction Proof Your Life. So you don't think you take all this to a judge and you show, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, I got you. Yeah, we know you got a late fee, but you do know if you paid early, you would have an incentive. How's the judge going to look at you? Right? In addition to that, okay, so utilities, right? Utilities, the former Mayor Charjane mentioned, people abuse the heating responsibility. But guess what? You might want to take on a cooking expense. The gas cooking is really, really cheap. And if you come to the other meetings that I have, you might realize how taking on some of the utilities to make it just one payment for the tenant might be beneficial to you. Because there's other things that you can do to gain rebates and incentivize yourself by owning their utility expenses. So that's another class. But the point is, you want to make it fair and reasonable. We have gotten away from a lot of fair and reasonable practices for the sake of capitalism and greed. But if we're talking about thriving in a community that has lopsided with incomes and lopsided with credit and lopsided with some other external challenges, you got to be smart and think how you can thrive in that market. That's not what's going on in Montclair, or not what's going on in Jersey City, or not what's going on in Manhattan. You got to create an environment that's conducive to success for you and your portfolio based on where it is, based on the community. I think I'm done here. Any other questions on this? There we go. That's it. That's it. So
I definitely want to let you know. I hope you guys could give her a round of applause because she did a job. Rosa doesn't talk much about herself, but basically she's been in the real estate market for many years, both in Camden, Jersey City, Hoboken, and doing a lot of stuff in North New Jersey. So I know she gave her card is right there. If you guys have any questions specifically about real estate, making money, she knows how to make money for real, not BS, for real, make money, and how to become a better investor, more disciplined investor, know how to make money in this marketplace that's ever changing, and she has a lot of contacts in the city, so definitely want to give it back to
Thank you guys. So you all have my contact information. I do these events. If you're following me on Meetup, like I said, I've already done 190 workshops. Some I charge, some I don't. But will we agree that you don't really appreciate what's for free? You sometimes got to put a little skin in the game. So it's not that I need the $15. It's not that I need the entry fee. It's just to really train you. Listen, there's a learning with this. And sometimes there's a small cost. I'd rather take your $15 than an electrician take you to the bank for $15,000. right? So listen, it's all an expense for stuff, but at the end of the day, you guys have my contact information.
At 1 o'clock. At 1 o'clock. Just see.
1 o'clock, if anybody wants to stick around, we're gonna have a little special little meeting or whatever. If you wanna go and come back, we're gonna have a special meeting where I was talking about the utilities and how you could really stop leaving money on the table and incentivize your whole portfolio. So if you wanna come back at 1 o'clock for that, that would be amazing. But my next event I'm gonna have is November 8th. Please save the date.
Next Saturday we have a workshop too.
Probably.
Yeah, we do.
I don't know that date. Next Saturday?
Yeah, the 28th.
Oh yeah, the 28th, October 28th. Please write these dates down. Everything's already booked, so I don't remember.
Or the 27th or the 20th. Whatever.
So
Next
usually
Saturday.
the week of, like that's when I know, to be honest with you, because I book all my events out through the end of December right now. So that's why I tell people to go to meetup, because I can't remember everything. But October 27th, right here at 10 o'clock. And that's the art of...
It's big focus on as an investor, more techniques. Like we kind of play.
This was a glaze over, but we
It's
do
more
chop
specific.
down to just specific topics in some classes as well, like the art of real estate investing A to Z. That was kind of some of this today, but then we have property management, the construction process,
And then it's
the legal
posted
process.
on the meetup too. So
Yeah, it's all on my meetup. But anywho, what I'll do, I'll reach out to everybody. I'll email you directly to make sure you're linked in with the meetup, because that's the schedule. That's what I'll do. But so next Saturday at 10 o'clock right here. And then I have a big event with credit and keys to closing is going to be on November 8th at 6:30 p.m. at 211 Mulberry Street. That's also at the meetup. That's going to be at like a little social spot. It's going to be a Thursday night after work type of thing. You know, some other dignitaries will be there as well. So you can start meeting some city officials and city people, because you got to be a part of the market that you're in. You know, you don't know who the tax person is on the other side till you get to the window. But how much better it is you met them over some advertisements first. And then, oh, by the way, oh, I just met you. You know, so you got to be in the marketplace. 2 more points I want to say. As an investor, as a broker, as a developer right here in the city of Newark, 2 other things that I'm a part of. I'm a board member for the Newark Symphony Hall. And I'm also proud to say that I'm on the City of Newark Homeless Coalition, right? 2 free things that I volunteer. If you're not volunteering your sweat equity, you're not going to get much out of this community as well. There's been times where you volunteer with some nonprofits, do a book bag drive, or they want to cut some grass or clean up some yards or something like that. And guess what? When they have a good tenant that needs a house, they're going to call you, right? Some of these nonprofits get first month's rent and security. Some of these nonprofits can actually pay if your tenant, a good tenant gets behind for some godforsaken reason. Sometimes these nonprofits have catch-up money, right? But if you're not tied in to say, hey tenant, go down to the Urban League. Hey tenant, go to Casa Don Pedro. Go talk to Sue. You don't know because you never fed a homeless person. You don't know these. You see where I'm going? There's a sweat equity that has to be given into the community as well. We cannot just be the ones coming to make money, coming to do this. There's a social responsibility with this as well. I'm going to tell you. Through 20 years, there's a social balance and social responsibility with this. So please keep that in mind as drives come up. I guess I'm pushing. I have a flyer that I'll give you guys before you leave. We're trying to raise 800 coats. There's approximately 800 students right now that don't have addresses that actually go to school every day. So we want to love them, right? So if I could get a coat from each of you that came out today, that would be awesome. It could be gently used or brand new. You could bring it right here. And we need them by November the 15th. So, you know, there's a humanitarian side to it as well. It really is. You'd be surprised how much respect you get, and people start respecting you as a landowner when you're just not a person who collects their 40-hour a week paycheck. Okay? So I'm going to put that out there as well. So I thank you guys. Thank you. Come next 2 events. Bring your friend next time. And thank you so much.
And the meeting starts at 1.